masking autism and ADHD. Let's talk about why it's so painful and exhausting. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the journey of discovery of self, of other, and of realms beyond space and time. My name is Adrian, and I will be your guide. So, for anyone who might not know, masking is basically when you cover up your neurodivergent traits in order to sort of blend in with neurotypicals, like cosplaying is neurotypical, if you will. And usually people develop this tendency to mask because they were met with some sort of unfavorable consequences after behaving in certain ways. So in order to minimize unwanted interactions or responses from other people, you do your best to fit into social norms. I've spent pretty much my entire life masking. I think almost any time I was shamed or made fun of or got in trouble for doing something or for not doing something in a lot of cases, I then added it to some sort of file in my brain labeled like things you're not allowed to do or something like that. Though some of those things are just really hard not to do, and I continue to get in trouble for those things even in adulthood. Like this expectation that you have to greet people as soon as you see them, even when you live in the same house and you just woke up and all you really want to do is have coffee and mentally prepare for your day in silence. And no matter how many times you try to explain that talking first thing in the morning feels physically painful to you, they don't understand. Anyone else relate or just me? Anyway, everything I did or did not do that caused people to judge me in any sort of negative way got sorted into this file in my brain, and I proceeded to suppress these actions as much as I possibly could. And when you get to a point where you've had so many experiences where other people have made you feel bad for acting in certain ways, you can really begin to internalize all of that and then become hyper aware of your own behavior in any given social situation. You start to question everything you're doing, everything you're saying, the way you're carrying yourself. So now every time you interact with other people, you're trying to pay attention to all kinds of things all at once. Like, am I sitting weird? Am I standing weird? What should I be doing with my hands right now? If I cross my arms, is this person going to think I'm rude or bored? Are they going to make a comment about how shy I seem or how quiet I am? Should I have said that way? Is there a better way I could have stated that? Oh God, does this person think I'm weird? Do they think I'm awkward? Am I making enough eye contact? Do I look like I'm interested in what they're saying? What is my face doing? Are my facial expressions appropriate? Am I smiling enough? Am I smiling too much? Oh God, this person is going to say I laugh a lot and think that I'm weird. But people used to tell me I look too serious all the time, and now all of a sudden I'm not serious enough. I don't know where the middle ground is. Oh no. I really don't know how I'm expected to respond to this right now. I'm just gonna kind of smile and nod and hope they start talking about something else because I got nothing right now. When is this going to be over? Shit, now I have to figure out what the perfect opportunity to leave is. I have to think about what I'm going to say. What do I say when I want to leave? When do I bring that up? And how do I say it? And honestly, I could go on and on with these examples because the internal monologue is constant, nonstop, on repeat, every social interaction. The overthinking in social situations is automatic at this point. My mind is immediately going into overdrive, trying to make sure that I'm coming off as normal as possible so that I don't have to deal with the pain of social rejection or ridicule in any sort of way. So, I mean, tell me what you think from all that. Does that sound exhausting, because it definitely is. When you have to think that way in every social interaction just so you can avoid others pointing out what's wrong with you, it definitely negatively impacts your mental health. I think that's a big part of the reason why people go so long without a diagnosis of ADHD or autism, because when you go to explain your struggles, you're not necessarily going to notice exactly what you're doing. The first thing you're going to notice is like, oh, I get really anxious when I get into social situations, or I just feel overwhelmed. I feel like I don't have any energy to do things. I need to do everything every day. So then, of course, if you talk to anybody about this, or you went and saw a psychiatrist or something, it's just going to seem obvious that you have anxiety and or depression, and that's where all your issues stem from, seemingly. But really, when you get down to the root of it, the anxiety and depression is only the result of working so hard to cover up who you really are, because that's what masking is. You're essentially trying your hardest to be somebody else, trying to be someone who is socially accepted. And that's exactly why masking is so detrimental for what I've just pointed out here. The way that trying to come off as neurotypical can cause you a lot of distress, because you're constantly concerned with what your body is doing at any given time, what words you're using, and how you're interacting with your environment and the people around you. You just become so afraid of doing something wrong and people treating you badly as a result of that. And it's just kind of like, how does that not make you anxious? How does that not make you depressed? You feel like no one likes you for you, even if you aren't even consciously aware of the fact that you're hiding who you are. Because a lot of the time, like if you're late diagnosed, before being diagnosed, you didn't really know that you were masking. You just kind of knew that social interaction took a lot out of you, and probably didn't notice that other people weren't having to put nearly as much effort into it as you were. But again, that's literally what you're doing, because you're suppressing the way that you just naturally behave in a situation, because at some point you learned that it is wrong to be that way. And it's all really pretty sad, isn't it? Because you felt like you had to cover it all up because you would be judged, ridiculed, and punished. But then once you figure out what's going on, you realize you're neurodivergent, and you look back on your life and you think about how much energy that has costed you to be hyper aware of yourself and everything in it, everyone around you. And I haven't even gotten into the added challenge of sensory issues on top of everything else you're trying to control about how you're being perceived. And you just wonder, was it all worth it? Was masking worth being tired all the time and being anxious and depressed the majority of my life? Was it worth it? How bad is it really if people judge me sometimes? And it's really tricky, because obviously you have the experience of people treating you badly because of certain differences, and that's exactly why you started masking in the first place. But then you really see how much masking has taken from you, because now it's not necessarily other people causing you pain, but you causing yourself pain, because now you're judging yourself harshly and you're making yourself anxious, trying to make sure that you're doing everything right all the time, and you're making yourself depressed because this is all taking a lot of energy, and you've internalized everything that anyone has ever said is wrong with you, and you have no time for doing anything that makes you happy, because all you have the energy for is making sure that you're doing everything you possibly can so that other people do not think badly of you. And that certainly can be a lot to take in, can it? And then we can get into how, no matter how good you think you are at masking, you're autistic, you have ADHD. There are still going to be things that people pick up on, even if they can't name it. Like, yeah, neurotypical people probably aren't going to be able to pinpoint that you're autistic if you've been masking your entire life, but every once in a while you're going to get those comments that indicate to you that people know you're different. Or you're going to get people assuming things about you that just aren't true because they don't know you're neurodivergent and they can't figure out why they don't like you. But they're going to come up with some other kind of reason. You're going to get told you seem stuck up or something like that. And then that's just going to be another thing for you to internalize until you come to the understanding that you're autistic and ADHD. And you just carry that around with you. Like, no matter how hard I try, people are always going to see that something is wrong with me. And you just continue the cycle of masking and wondering what on earth is wrong with you. And then finally, you find out you're neurodivergent and you've been trying your best to mask it your entire life. And that's why you feel so different from other people. And that's why you're exhausted and burnt out all the time. Masking is draining. And when you try to suppress who you are, it significantly impacts your mental and emotional and even physical well-being because you're pushing yourself far too hard. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous and honestly cruel that we live in a world that shames and punishes you for displaying neurodivergent traits. And I really hope we continue to change that moving forward. So I think I'm going to leave this video here. Are you a high masking neurodivergent person? What's that been like for you? Feel free to let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.